We've got a fun video today because this is completely unscripted. I am simply mainlining the power of friendship. I haven't planned anything for this video. I've got today's question, but the reason I'm filming it right now is I just got off a 2-hour call with a good friend who I made over the last year, a conscious friend, some might say, and last month we did a 4-day road trip together in the north of the UK, despite the fact that they live in America, and it took a year of interactions to get to the point where I now consider this person a real friend. But how does this happen? How do we actually make real friends as adults? Well, here I am as a survivor of the friendship-making process while also being heavily introverted and also having an exceptionally high standard for my friendship. Someone needs to be either doing something very impressive or be something very impressive to catch my attention, and they typically need to do both of those consistently over time, plus the elements of energetic safety, plus the elements of spiritual openness, plus the elements of knowing how to give and take in a relational exchange before they can actually be considered my friend. I don't need people who are taking from me, and I definitely don't want people who are disrespecting my time and energy. If you're someone who relates to this idea and you want to learn how you can have friends who are always going to be there for you, of course you always need to be there for them, but let's frame today's video completely unscripted again with today's Q&A question. I've got it up on my phone, let's read it out. So Britt wants to know, while she's working from home and always looking forward to watching my new videos, which is a great way to be spending your time, she's curious, do you spend a lot of time with friends or groups of people who share similar values as you? I ask because I would love to attract people like you into my life, but I'm not sure how to go about it. Please don't feel obligated to answer that. I just wanted to let you know how much I admire your work and appreciate your thoughtfulness. Heart emoji. Said like a true person who doesn't want to upset anyone right there at the end, just being simultaneously grateful, but also not wanting to overextend the boundaries. And Britt, I'll honestly answer the very first part of this question. Do I spend a lot of time with friends or groups of people? No, I do not. I was going to swear, F no. No way do I spend a lot of time with friends or groups of people. The last time that I went to a bar or a club was 5 years ago. I don't enjoy those situations. I used to pretend I enjoyed those situations. I really don't. I like one-to-one conversations or maybe small groups of about 3 or 4 people doing an activity like working out together or going on a hike together. I don't enjoy loud, overstimulating environments. So when Britt says at the end, like, how do I attract someone like you, but not you, but someone who's got the energy and also that kind of like, is this awkward to say? I totally get it. And it's a really important question. No harm intended and no harm taken. The secret that I've learned along the way of being simultaneously a deeply introverted, deeply particular, rather weird individual and wanting to bring conscious friendships into my life is to be unapologetically myself. And it really works if you're someone who's worth liking. You can't unapologetically be yourself if you are an unhealed, trauma-based version of yourself and expect to get conscious friends. It will not happen. If you're run by a defense mechanism of grandiosity or people-pleasing or codependency, you might attract a conscious friendship, but the reality is you're probably attracting someone who's also a people pleaser or an overgiver, or someone who's going to use you basically as their practice as a therapist. You're not going to get a real friendship. You're going to be in this disproportionate give and take dynamic because you haven't actually got enough to give. To be unapologetically yourself is the number one way to go about making conscious friendships, but I'm not going to give you some watered down, feel-good way of doing that. There are genuinely areas of yourself which probably should be dialed down, and other wonderful areas which should be amplified. For example, for myself, I am a deeply empathic, genuinely interested person when it comes to my friendships. I love nothing more than getting on the phone and asking people about their life and trying to give as much as I can in terms of presence, in terms of information, in terms of shortcuts or advice. I'm a natural born teacher. or a coach or a therapist, the hyphens between the phrases. That's who I am in friendship. I show up, and I really show up. I once had a friend a few weeks ago who sent me a message when I was offline. I saw it when I came back on Thursday that they'd unsent a message, and I knew intuitively there's something happening based on a certain situation. So I reached out on the Thursday and said, "Hey man, if anything's happened, I'm here for this, just to let you know, like, don't need to hide anything from me." Took a few days, came back, it was indeed the situation. If you're watching the video, then thank you for your friendship. The point is, you need to know who you are, and you need to know what you give. And if you're someone who already has that feeling of, okay, well, I know who I am, I know I've got some great qualities, and yet I still haven't got the people in my life to give to, I'm going to pause you for a moment and give you a harsh reality check. You might still be a bit of a prick and quite unlikable. If you haven't got a variety of friends around you who genuinely enjoy spending time with you, you're probably not that likable. It's not everyone else's fault. It's probably your fault. You're probably not calibrated. And I don't intend to be triggering or hateful or shaming towards anyone, but this is an issue that I was stuck on for a while in my teenage years and early 20s because I didn't quite know what normal mode was. I couldn't do all of the other non-deep, non-intense elements of like, oh, let's talk about the universe and go deep into your soul and where's your trauma. Once I've professionalized this, as I've mentioned elsewhere on the channel, I don't need to be a therapist in every room that I enter into. I can just be silly and playful. Most of my, actually most conscious friendships are incredibly ridiculous. I'm making animal noises and running around like an idiot and doing handstands, and I am a very different version of myself off camera because of the nature of what I'm trying to do with this project. I can't be handstanding while talking about trauma and expect to be taken seriously. And that's important because you're dealing with people who are in sensitive space. Completely appropriate. But if you have that disproportionate, either I need something from these friends, that kind of lecherous, almost pulling them in so they can give you a reflection of just how wonderful you are, you might be pushing them away for that reason, or you might also be pushing them away because you're actually not that likable of a person. And if you can be honest with yourself, you can probably heal some of those patterns. But let's imagine that you've already done that work. You've already done the work, you're already very likable, and you're actually in the counter situation where you've got a wide variety of people who want as much of your time as you could possibly give. And you're now trying to decide, who is my real friend and who is an energetic vampire? How do I even separate these categories, and how do I recognize the vampiric tendencies, unconscious tendencies usually, within my closest friends, and how do I recognize the tendencies of potential real friendship in those who appear initially a little bit needy? That's up to you, but I think the number one way that has worked for me is giving it time and space. Going back to the call that I had about half an hour ago, it finished with my new conscious friend. The reason I felt comfortable doing something rather out there for me, which is going on a road trip with someone that I haven't met in person, is that we had 1 year of interactions. I respected their work. I respected who they were energetically. That hit the two categories for me, that feeling of I respect what you're doing with your week and I respect your energetic impression. Those are non-negotiable qualities for me in terms of close friendship. Otherwise, I'm faking it, and I know I will get resentful because my standards of life, my moral values are not being mirrored at the foundational level, let alone the aspirational level. I'd rather have 2 friends who are deeply aspirational and deeply integrous in their character than 10 friends who are kind of changing what they're doing every 3 months and floating around. I have time for that when it comes to healing, but in terms of my close friendships, I like people who generally know who they are, like myself, and are unapologetically expressive with that, and usually these are quite difficult people to find. So with this person in particular, we started having voice notes, and gradually over time, the voice notes developed more closeness, and we'd support each other's work, and we'd give comments here and there on things that we saw of each other online, and it felt very collaborative. But the part that really got me, the part that really convinced me that this person is safe, is that they did not once try and get me to work for free. Not once were they bringing their problems to me. knowing that I'm very good at solving most emotional problems, or at least giving some good feedback. They never put that onto me, and they were always incredibly respectful of my time, and also very silly and very playful, and I got to be that as well. Mixture between seriousness and playfulness, but the time element is what really defined this as being a potential conscious friendship for me. I actually asked permission from the friend before filming this video saying, "Are you okay with me bringing forwards this anonymized story of you?" And they said yes. Because what happened on the road trip, what happened on the actual moment where it all comes to life, was that everything that had been built over the last year was confirmed. This is someone who was energetically clean, was inspirational in their articulation and their intelligence, and had so much aspirational energy to match my own comparing qualities of that it felt like we're on the same level. But in different areas, we had different levels of higher ability and areas that we could give to each other. It felt reciprocal. And that reciprocal energy exchange is what encouraged something which is very rare. Again, I don't do moments like this very often. I generally keep to myself. I generally am completely socially fulfilled on the clients that I'm working with one-to-one and the small number of male and female friends that I already have. But when it's making a new friendship, it's that sense of energetic safety mixed with all the outer elements, but the energetic safety of they don't want you to work for free. They don't want you to give in a disproportionate way. And you also don't have any shadow tendency to try and take from them. You're not leeching behind the scenes. You're not positioning yourself, especially if you get to a certain level of success or a certain level of reputation in your field. Let's imagine you're making business connections. If you're doing this chessboard, game-playing, positioning, manipulative nonsense and trying to weave that into your friendship, and that's the priority element, sure, an element in the background of, I see where opportunities are that I could help them and they could help me, and it's very conscious, very above board. That's a different story. But if it's this really strange, shadowy, I'm going to put them in the pincer movement and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to make the connection to the person I really want to make the connection to, you're not being a conscious friend either. If you've got any of that energy inside of you, please work on it, because you're not going to be able to get deeply nourishing connections where you actually feel like you get to be yourself. You will be caught in a persona game, and you may attract 50 people who like your persona, but you're going to get the moment when you go to the bathroom, at the party, the high status, high end, all the cool people that you want to meet. You're going to get the moment looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're not going to see who's actually there, because no one's there. It's just a mask. Don't fall into that trap. If you catch that energy early, you'll take ownership for your side of the conscious friendship story, which is knowing what you can genuinely give and also what you'd like to receive. It's all completely transparent. If anyone's watching this video and they thought, I actually might be a pretty good friend for Jordan, I've given you the secret strategy of how to get friendship with me. It's something like a year of non-demanding, positive, energetic exchange between us, because I take so long to warm up to someone in terms of friendship because of how social I get to be in my professional life. There's many layers of messaging depth and client relationships, especially, that even transitioning from a client relationship to a friendship, which is something that I love doing. The majority of clients that I work with, we figure out how to be friends. But to go from friends to true friends, that's a different story in itself. And it depends, again, on that energetic reciprocal energy. And you won't find the people who want to have that energy exchange with you if you're not putting yourself out there. The final point for the video, if you believe that you're someone who can really offer something to the next friend that you make, really be someone worth being a friend for, put yourself out there in a way where you will be seen. Show up in the communities, the yoga studios, the conscious circles, the art classes, the gym environments, or maybe somewhere on social media, expressing your identity in a way that will be seen, and do it for months and months without expectation of attracting anyone who's a friend, or even this strategy for romantic partnership. There's people out there, maybe someone watching this video, who's looking for their next boyfriend or girlfriend, and that's deeply meaningful for them. Conscious relationship. Put that on the internet in a way which is respectful and full of value and full of integrity and truly as authentic as you can be. And it's likely that you will find those people around the world. And of course, we live in a very wonderful era of time where distance doesn't really matter. The friend that I met for the road trip is halfway across the world in America. Many of my friends are also in America and elsewhere around the world. It's such a wonderful time. So put yourself on the internet, expose yourself out there in the world, and that is literally how I built some of the best connections. I built my business, I built my professional identity, I built client relationships, and some of them turn into friends. And in terms of maybe the more casual friendships I have in day-to-day life, I do have a gym community, I guess you could call it, of maybe a couple dozen people that I chat to, maybe half a dozen people within that couple dozen who I'd have longer conversations with. But generally speaking, I actually want to be left alone, and my favorite way to train is when no one's in the gym. I purposefully pick the times when my gym is empty and I get to go into the space and put my music on and be completely by myself. Because on my work days, I've spent the majority of my day being there for someone else. So I nourish by being there by myself. And again, the kind of people that I've gotten close to at the gym, they understand who I am and what my energetic requirements are because they see some of the things that I do online maybe, and they know to just have a few minutes here and there. And when it comes to difficulties in their life, although I would very much be potentially even a little bit people pleasery if someone brings up an issue with their relationship or with a certain substance issue or whatever it might be, I'm going to still give you the responses as I'm doing the reps on the rings. I'm like, oh, yeah, what were you saying? Oh yeah, the childhood trauma. I won't be resentful of it. It's just a natural byproduct of being a certain type of person in the world. You attract these conversations. It always seems to happen. But the boundaries are pretty well established at this instance, and I will quite comfortably say, man, I'm really important topic, but I'm in the middle of a workout right now, and yeah, I won't have full presence for this, and I just whatever's appropriate. But the people who get close to me one-to-one in the material reality rather than meeting online and then creating material reality also have that same pattern of respectful, patient, distance, but that's my personal energetic imprint. My personal imprint is it takes a long time for me to warm up to people. Other people are very extroverted and they can make seemingly great friendships just like that. I imagine the majority of people who watch my channel are probably more towards the introverted side, and especially their true depth. They don't want to open that up to everyone, but you do need to open it up to some people while also feeling free to set the boundaries in your everyday reality so that not everyone gets access to your energy, so you've got more to give in conscious friendship. I think that's as much as I can answer or as much as I can offer in terms of how to build a conscious friendship, because if you know who you are, and you know that you're a good person, and you've got consistent proof that you've got something to offer someone who would be your friend, and you're the kind of person who would show up for a friend, you're the kind of person who would see an unsent message and then not ignore it, but still check in and make sure that friend's okay. You're the kind of person who'd be willing to take time out of your schedule to make uninterrupted presence for someone who could potentially be a great connection for many years ahead. You're the kind of person who knows how to be present and also give back into a relationship, create new opportunities, create moments of fun, and also moments of depth. You will start attracting more and more conscious friendships, and if that's still not happening for you right now, please, in the least shameful way I could say this, take a look at the parts of you which are unlikable, and that people genuinely will not find palatable, and see if it's a real deal breaker, or even a real character trait for you to change that. For example, my major one, I'll go first to wrap up the video. My major one was that I would always take conversations way too deep, way too intensely, way too quick. And my learning journey has been chilling out. I'll go into more social mode. Let's imagine that I'm like at the gym, me at the gym. I'm very much more in this energy. It's like, hey man, how's it going? That's really cool. Yeah, it's been a good day. Got 2 videos done and just in the workout now. Oh yeah, cool. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I often listen a lot more, but I also say when I'm speaking, I just simplify and I kind of anchor my energy into here. I let myself come down out of my head. I focus on the room. I focus on play. I don't try and make an intellectual, philosophical discussion about the levels of consciousness and how to articulate self-actualization for this individual and this 5-minute moment and nonsense. I just don't do it. Appropriate context, appropriate response. That was my number one major pattern. It took me over 10 years to figure that out, realistically. Still probably need to figure it out at times. If you've got certain character traits that would be unpalatable at certain forms of expression, then see if you can bring back that same energy and turn it into a healthier articulation. Like knowing how to give that energy for someone who's in a deeply trustful space rather than everyone that you meet. Besides the point, unscripted video, haven't planned for this. This is how I make conscious friendships, but ultimately, I am probably not the person to listen to because I don't have a group of friends. I don't hang out in group chats. I've never enjoyed hanging out in group chats. I haven't been to a pub or a bar or a club in over 5 years. I don't do these things because I don't want to. And I attract friends who also don't want to do that, and that for me feels very nourishing. But if you do want to be Mr. or Mrs. Socialite, probably go and find another channel to watch. This is definitely the inner workspace, and I'm more about deep one-to-one connections, which is why I have built the life that I have built for myself. And if you can be unapologetic about it, and that's something you want for yourself, you can enjoy it too. I hope this video has been useful. I'll see you over on the next one, where it's probably not about friendship, but it's probably going to help you become a better friend if you heal yourself, based on what we're talking about over there. I'll see you over there.